Good day. Welcome to Midweek Musings here at Trinity Heights United Methodist Church. I'm Reverend Kent Little. It is good to have you join me today. Whether you join here live in this very moment or whether you find this at a later time, as it will be recorded and retained on our Facebook page as well as our YouTube channel. So anyway, welcome. Glad you're here. As I mentioned last week, things are kind of gearing up for fall activities. I know it doesn't feel much like fall outside yet, but we are gearing up for that. This last Sunday, in preparation for school starting this week, we had our blessing of the backpacks, and prayed for our students and our teachers and our schools and our administrators, all of those who make our educational process happen, the paras, the janitorial staff, the cooks, and all of those who care for our children and youth as they expand their horizons, as they learn and grow and move forward in their lives. So that was a good thing. I encourage us all to be about that, to be in prayer for our school system, for our children, that they might be safe, that they might be in an environment where they will indeed learn and grow and expand their knowledge and their wisdom as they move forward in life. So anyway, keep our school system in your prayers as they begin. I think maybe today, or maybe it was yesterday, they have begun in earnest. I think. Anyway, I know there's a lot of activity over at the high school right now. So anyway, keep them in your prayers as we continue on. After worship on this last Sunday evening, we had a cookout and a pool party. Had a good crowd show up for that. We had lots of fun, lots of good food. The kids enjoyed the pool, and so that was a fun outing. And it was a beautiful evening. Maybe could have used a little more breeze, but all in all, it was a beautiful evening outside, and it was a lot of fun. So I hope we continue that tradition. Anyway, so it was a good Sunday last Sunday. Not that they aren't all good Sundays, but starting to have some more activities going on, and as we move forward, there'll be more and more activities beginning to happen. I think we start our Welcome on Wednesdays, our WOW, and my Theology Matters class. I think it's the second Wednesday of September. There'll be information coming out. Well, I should have looked at that before I fired up the video, but anyway, so that'll be coming up. I did send out in our newsletter just a feeler for whether there was any interest in some kind of a class, either a Bible study or a book study, a discussion class on Sunday mornings, beginning either at 8 o'clock or 8:30, or maybe even as late as 9. Our worship starts at 10, to just have another offering for time for learning, time for discussion and conversation around the faith and that kind of thing. So if that's something that you would be interested in, let me know, or call the office and let Diane know. And I'm more than happy to facilitate that and lead that class if we have enough interest. So anyway, think about that. Sunday mornings, I don't remember now if I put in the newsletter a specific start date. I think maybe it was later in September, as I'm going to be gone for a little while in September. So I think maybe I started that after I'll get back. And so anyway, if that's something, I really haven't decided on a topic or on a curriculum so much as just, is there interest in that? And then if there is interest, then we can, for those of you who are interested, then we can talk a little bit about what we want to do. Do we want to study a book? That's kind of what we've ended up doing for Theology Matters on Wednesday evenings. We've picked a book and walked through that book and studied that book by an author, theologian, etc. So we could do something like that on Sunday morning, or if we'd rather have a more of a traditional, or well, I'm not very traditional. Maybe more of a traditional Bible study, or a Bible study of some kind. Maybe we study one of the books of the Bible, or maybe we work on a section in the Bible, etc. And so, or maybe we look at the prophets or the disciples, or anyway. So that's a possibility as well, to do some kind of a Bible study, or maybe a topical study related to the faith. Anyway, so if that's something that you would be interested in, I know it's kind of early on Sunday morning. And like I said, I'd be willing to start as early as 8 o'clock, and go for 45 minutes to an hour. Or if you're interested, but you'd rather meet later, like start at 9 o'clock or 8:30. But if we started as late as 9 o'clock, that would probably need to be about 45 minutes at the most, because I need at least 10, 15 minutes to get my head back in worship before I head for the sanctuary. So anyway, think about that. Study on Sunday mornings. Is that something you might be interested in? If so, let me know. I think it sounds like a great time, but we'll see. Anyway, so those are kind of some of the things that are coming up as we move toward the fall. I think we also are planning. I don't know. I can't remember now. We probably have a date, but I can't remember what it is. Another outing to the out to the lake, out to Jody's place. And there'll be information around that. Also thinking about some kind of a block party-ish kind of thing, a gathering, a rally, if you will. That's just kind of in the infancy in terms of talking about some kind of a gathering where we invite a broader audience, into the community, to have a community event, and more of maybe an ecumenical event of some kind. So anyway, we have a lot of things that are being talked about. So hopefully those will come to fruition as we move toward the fall, and then of course the holidays. With I think we're going to do something a little different for the Halloween season. We've talked a little bit about maybe not doing the trunk or treat this year, unless, and maybe doing something just a little different. We've been doing that for a long time, and maybe it's time to try something new. Never hurts to try something new once in a while, see if it works. So anyway, so that, and then of course then will be Thanksgiving, and then we'll start Advent. And moving toward Christmas. That seems like a long way away, but it's really not. It'll be here before we know it. So anyway, I've been working on my worship services and working on my Advent and Christmas series. I think it's coming together rather nicely. Just as a teaser, I'm looking at incorporating the arts into our Advent and Christmas season. Arts in terms of dance and sculpture and pottery, music, of course, and other art that stirs us. Art is a huge part of our world, our lives. It's been a huge part of our faith. And so anyway, so that's just that's kind of what I'm working on. I haven't got everything nailed down yet, but I'm looking forward to that, and I think it's going to end up being an interesting and hopefully inspiring Advent and Christmas season around that. So anyway, I have a lot of things mulling around up here in my head about things to do and ways to connect and be in worship together. So anyway, this coming Sunday, this last Sunday we dealt with faith and hope. This coming Sunday, it's likewise, but the lectionaries, I follow the lectionary, those selected passages that are the common lectionary. I'm dealing with kind of again, which I've done a couple of times this summer. The lectionary has presented some rather difficult passages, if you will. So this Sunday is Jesus is. I've often described this passage as Jesus is a little cranky. Things have taken a turn for whatever reason, and we can talk about some of the reasons that might be. We'll talk about some of that Sunday, but if you remember the passage, he talks about being baptized in fire, and he says he didn't come. He's come for not for peace, but for division and conflict, which is not something we usually talk a lot about in terms of Jesus' ministry. He talks about that there'll be division in communities, divisions in families, father against daughter, mother against son, brother against sister, and it's sometimes. Yeah, I've been guilty of it. Sometimes we preachers opt for a little softer message. Sometimes we avoid these prickly ones, if you will. Jesus is, to some degree, you might say Jesus is in a bad mood, and we've all. I think we can all relate to that, and I think that's, for me, I think that's what we garner from this passage, as much as the message in terms of division. And I think that's very evident in our world. He talks about this in terms of interpreting signs of the times, which is appropriate, and we'll talk about that Sunday. But also, I mean, it's been this way in our faith tradition, in humanity, in all creation. It's been that way since Cain knocked Abel in the head with a rock. But we don't agree. We're divided, and I think sometimes we can think we're in the worst of it right now. We all know we're not ignorant to the fact that we especially in this country, but I think around the world to some degree we're divided. We don't agree on a lot of things, and it's hard to get along. It's hard to talk. And it's hard to sit in and have a conversation with someone who disagrees with me vehemently, and vice versa. It's hard to find that common ground in which to try to move forward. And I think that's what Jesus is talking about. That our faith, can sometimes bring that to the surface, even. And I'm not talking about just our faith versus someone else's faith, our religion versus someone else's religion. As you know, within our own Christianity, I think many years ago I read a statistic that there's some 40,000 expressions of the Christian faith, and wow, we don't agree. I mean, if we all agreed on everything, there'd just be one church, and there's not. We know that. And so Jesus is saying in this passage, my message is going to bring division, not only between you and those who don't follow me, but even within your own ranks. And what does that mean? And how do we deal with that? And how do we move forward in the midst of that? How do we find ways to connect with one another and honor our differences, and yet still live in peace? Recognize our diversity. I think diversity is a beautiful thing. I think diversity is a God thing. I think God loves diversity. And so how do we move forward? How do we strive toward that beloved community that we all long for when we don't agree with each other? And so I think that's part of what Jesus is talking about in this passage, and he gets a little edgy, as I know I'm guilty. I'm guilty. I can do that. I can get a little edgy when I'm having a conversation with someone I disagree with or with someone who disagrees with me. It's hard not to. We're human. So was he. Anyway, so this is what we're going to talk about Sunday. Like I said, it's a difficult passage, but I want to approach it and deal with it gracefully and look at it honestly. How does it affect me? Where do I see my life? Where do I see my faith in the midst of his words that are pretty pointed? What can we learn from that? How do we let it make us uncomfortable and still be faithful to the love of God for everyone? So anyway, hope you join us Sunday, whether you're here in person at 10 o'clock on Sunday morning or whether you join us online with our live stream. If you're unable to be here, you can find the link for our live stream on our web page. Just click on that and it'll take you to our YouTube page, which we will stream our service live beginning at 10 o'clock. So anyway, so those are some of the things that are going on. I hope in the midst of all that is going on in the world, you know that you are loved, that each and every one of us are a unique and unrepeatable child of God, worthy of God's love, worthy of God's grace, worthy of God's care, and worthy to care for one another as well. So anyway, hope that's true. I hope you know that's true. I know that's true. I hope you know that's true. Anyway, so I'm gonna check out here. I hope you can get out and enjoy the day. And as we always say here at Trinity Heights, may we always go in peace, and may we be a light, and may we love one another, every single other, until there are no others, only one beloved community of all. May it be so. May it be so. Thank you for joining me. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Have a great day and God bless.